Another year has gone by and preparing your will or trust is on your resolution list again. Well, our next guest says we should not be putting this task off any longer. Here to give us some advice before it's too late is Matt Osborne, Wills and Trust Supervisor from Desert Schools Financial Services. Good to see you. So what's the difference between a will and a trust?
Well, in a nutshell, a will is like a wish list. It really establishes who you want to manage your affairs afterwards and who you want to divide them up. Whereas a trust creates more of a structured or control of how those wishes are going to be carried out. Either plan requires additional planning and careful consideration to make sure we avoid probate in the courts.
And those plans are so important, but yet we continue to put it off until the very last minute or before it's too late. Why do we procrastinate when it comes to making a will or a trust?
Well, I think the obvious answer is this talks about death, right? And so it's an easy topic to avoid. But more importantly, I think there's underlying decisions that have to occur about who's going to be responsible, how we're going to divide things up, and those can kind of lead to a little bit of conflict. So I think it's easier to avoid the conflict than to confront it.
So what advice would you have for couples who might be watching this morning and they want to consider preparing one of these very important documents, but they just don't know where to begin?
Sure, I think the biggest stumbling block that people have is when they make an appointment, they feel like they have to have all their answers in place right away. They have to know all of their decisions up front. And I really think that the best advice is to first seek out education, become really knowledgeable about these documents and how they might work for your situation. Once you become educated, the weight kind of lifts and the decisions become a little bit easier once you really understand the document.
And so we're beyond the procrastination is going to stop, but I'm not doing it because I feel it's just going to take a long time to prepare one of these estate documents. How long does it take to do something like this?
Well, in our first appointment, I think that the key part is the education. And whether you're a member at Desert Schools or not, you can come to Desert Schools and get educated. And that initial session takes about 40 to 45 minutes to really become knowledgeable about how these documents might work in your case. And then from there, the process can be completed within about 4 to 6 weeks through a series of 2 or 3 appointments.
That's not too bad. You know,
no,
a month or so after putting it off. And I'm sure you've had people come to you that are just at odds with one another. And this tears families apart. Let's be honest, this tears death can tear a family apart.
Yeah, and if you don't have a plan, I think that's where we see that even the best relationships of your adult children can be tried if you don't have a plan in place. So it's important to take time to have those conversations, those tough conversations about who are going to be the guardians for the minor kids, how are we going to divide things up, who's going to be in charge. But most people that get through that process at the end of the day are extremely relieved to have it done.
Of course, because 4 to 6 weeks and then you can put it to rest and it's finished. What about advice for getting over that fear? Obviously, it sounds like it comes back to education.
Yeah, I think the fear of having those conversations, especially with our spouses, sometimes we build those up a little bit more in our head than those actual. Once you have the education, those discussions become a little bit easier to have.
And so once the will and trust is finished, can we make changes to it?
Absolutely. The nice part about preparing documents is they are amendable while you're alive.
Okay, so just get it down on paper, get it going.
That's right.
And those classes are pretty quick. Those sessions that we can do.
Yeah, the sessions you would call Desert Schools, and anybody on my team is highly educated to help you get your documents in place.
All right, so the common thread here is to get education. Here is how you can reach Matt's team to start with a free education session. Call Desert Schools Financial Services. The number's on your screen, 602-336-5531, or visit them online, desertschoolsfs.com.